Hey, how's it going, guys? It's the Casual Cube here, and in this video I hope to show you something interesting. This is going to be a look back on what I have spent my money on as far as Magic the Gathering. If you don't know already, I am a strictly paper Magic the Gathering player. I haven't played MTG Arena just yet because I'm on a Mac and they haven't released a client for Mac or mobile just yet. So, and as far as 2019 is concerned, I think I'm gonna just I'm not gonna wait for it. I'm just gonna start budgeting and saving up for a gaming PC. So I don't know when that's gonna get done. Hopefully in the first quarter or by the second quarter of this year, I'll be able to get that done and I can start building jank brews on MTG Arena. But in the meantime, that's not going to say I'm not going to spend any more money at FNMs or paper Magic. It's just I'm going to spend less because all of this Magic related expenses has all been budgeted for. It's all money that I have put as kind of like leisure expenses. So after all bills are set aside and everything, I have extra money that I can spend and use for Magic. So I hope this is something that can kind of give you insight into what kind of player I am. I forgot what the saying is. It's like, what is it? It's like if you take a look at a person's calendar and their checkbook, you can tell a lot about that person, or something along those lines. I probably just completely butchered that saying up, or maybe it's not even a saying. I don't even remember like where I heard that from. But essentially, it's if you look at a person and what they spend their time on, what they spend their money on, you can really see what that person's all about. So I hope that gives you insight into this, into what kind of player I am. I would definitely describe myself as a casual player. I'll kind of explain my FNM entries and everything because a lot of this math doesn't add up just yet, especially this right here. I'll explain all of this when I start getting into, actually participating in FNMs. But the very first thing I want to start off is the Explorers of Ixalan, this kind of like board game, card game hybrid product that Wizards of the Coast released. And I don't think it's their first attempt at these kind of hybrid products. I think they've built and sold, board games that don't have the cards, and also I think they have like Planes Chase as well as the Bolus one, where it's like a different take on Magic the Gathering. But the Explorers of Ixalan, I forgot how exactly I got into it, or how I got into like how I saw it initially. I think maybe it was like maybe like an Amazon recommended thing for like Settlers of Catan, maybe. I really don't remember, but anyways, I thought this product was a great introductory product because I found it on sale. Initially, it MSRP'd for about $60, and I think it got cut down for $40. And I think that's a fair price point because it comes with 4 decks, and the decks themselves are, probably on the level of a Planeswalker deck. And 4 decks for $40, that's reasonable. It's $10 a deck. But this was a great introductory product because me and my friends, we really enjoyed it. Even though it didn't come with instructions on how to play the game, we had to learn on our own. I actually took the extra time to kind of learn Magic on various YouTube tutorials, and that way we can have kind of like a basic foundation. But it was a great product. It was a lot of fun. It's actually something that I've improved on over time, where I've actually made these into brawl decks, kind of like mini commander decks. Commander has 99 cards as well as the commander. I've actually improved them into 59 cards as well as like a commander, kind of like a mini commander deck. So I've made this into like a brawl battle chest, and that's something that I wanted to make a video on. It's just I haven't really got it to a point where I'm really proud of it yet. And I'll show you that when all of that's complete, where I've, after playtesting it and everything with my friends, that I'm like, this is actually really fun, and I want to showcase this to everyone. But, right now it's kind of like, it's not 100% complete. I'm actually taking this product, Explorers of Ixalan, I'm trying to improve it, where I'm actually, building visuals on learning how to play Magic the Gathering, kind of like, just doing it through GIMP. And making kind of like an instruction booklet, if you will, just so if I have friends coming over, I could have a section on combat, or various different learn how to play, how does the Planeswalker work. I can have like a sheet for each of those little things. And I'll probably get that printed out like at a FedEx Kinko's or whatever, and get that laminated. But I digress. But anyways, this was a great first product. It got me hooked. It got my friends hooked. Actually, my friends, they they a couple got a Dominaria Planeswalker decks. They got both of them, and they also got the free welcome decks. So I got them hooked as well. So that's kind of cool. But they're still casual. They don't go to FNM at all. So but anyways, yeah, moving on from the Explorers of Ixalan, I actually bought my first bulk collection of just jank commons, bulk commons with the Star City Games 1,000 card lots. It's like the gold edition or whatever. It comes with like I think 100 lands or 80 lands or something like that. And this was just to see if I still wanted to play Magic. It was kind of like a little tester product if I was actually into it. And I was building kitchen table level decks just so I can play against each other, kind of like build these jank, just for fun decks on the kitchen table. And then later on, I disassembled them and, used a bunch of those cards for the basis of my cube, kind of like having just a straight up $25 collection that I can just start building my cube with. Because initially, when you're first starting to play Magic, there's Magic it's a game of many different formats, and it's a game where it's not just one game; it's a game of many games. You got to choose your format, and then you deck build, and then you play the game. So there's so many different layers, and this was just something that when I was first starting to get into Magic and starting to look at all the different formats, I just wanted to see if this was something that I actually wanted to get into. And after that, it was something that I wanted to get into, and I bought my first Challenger deck in the summer. Probably was it early July? I don't remember. This is just general stuff. I didn't want to keep the exact same dates because it's kind of irrelevant. But I made my first purchase into going into FNMs. The Challenger deck products were about $30 US dollars for just off the shelf, having something that's competent for your Friday Night Magic, which I hope they continue to do because this is a great introductory product. If you have a friend who invites you to FNM, they can be like, hey, you know what? You don't got a deck? Just buy it off the shelf, $30, bada boom, bada bing. And this was so much fun to play. I really loved the green-black Winding Constrictor Counter Surge deck. It was just a lot of fun. It's something that I actually miss. It's actually something that, I was researching on a lot, and the professor from Tulare Community College, he actually makes a note of this, where these products have a finite amount of time, and as you can see here, I bought it a few months before rotation, and it was something that I was fine purchasing because after all this is all said and done, after rotation is all, done and handled, after Amonkhet and Kaladesh and Hour Devastation rotated out, it was a product where, I have a deck where I can have it for the kitchen table and kind of have it as like an encapsulation of time of that meta of standards. So I'm really glad that I got to experience, all of the Scarab Gods and Torrential Gear Hulks and, the green-black, decks and that meta because, I just wanted to see what it was like, but also, after it's all said and done, I have it for the kitchen table. And, that's kind of what I want to do going forward. 5 years from now, I can have all these different decks where I can compete against each other, kind of have like, just on the kitchen table, I have a friend over, or I go over to a friend's house, and I can bring them, and I can, just play casually and be like, hey, this is when, 2018, Guilds of Ravnica, this is the meta, this is a standard deck that I had, or whatever. But, I kind of went crazy, building a bunch of different jank brews, because I am a paper player. I don't play on MTG Arena just yet, so I haven't, I do all my experimenting through paper right now, which I don't regret at all, even though it is kind of expensive. It's just because I do have it for the kitchen table. It's just it's not, the decks aren't fully optimized. I don't play test them. It's much better to do that online than to do it in paper. But anyways, the Challenger deck was my first FNM deck, so going back up here, back to the FNM entries, I know the math doesn't really add up just yet because I've definitely gone to more than 13 entries into my local game store number one, my main local game store. The reason why I don't add up these tallies is if I net zero, like if I use store credit and I lose and I take the 2 booster packs, because even if you go 0-4, you're still guaranteed 2 booster packs, which in turn you can turn it into store credit. If I do that, I go 0-4 or I go 2-2 or whatever, and I take the booster packs and I turn them into store credit, I don't tally this up. It's kind of like a net zero where, you're probably asking, well, why does that game store do that? Well, this local game store, my main local game store number one, they are actually a cafe as well as a kind of a game store. They serve beer, they serve sandwiches, snacks, and everything. That's mainly how they get their money. So, I was talking to the manager one time when I was going to Magic League down here. He was actually playing, and I, kind of bounced some questions off of him. But the reason why he said that is because, they just want people in the door. They just want people to, spend money on beer or whatever. That's how they make their money. So they make it really, really casual friendly, where you're guaranteed to get those booster packs, and in turn, you can turn those booster packs into store credit. So essentially, you can pay the $5 initially, and if you wanted to, you could go infinite. But, I do that from time to time with the Planeswalker decks, for instance. Anytime I'm playing some jank brew, I'll just spend the $5 store credit, and then if I lose, I just take that $5 store credit and turn it into store credit again with the booster packs. So I know it's kind of like a little bit scummy. I still try to support my game stores, in other ways like buying beer or whatever, but. I definitely take advantage of that when I'm trying to do like a Planeswalker deck challenge or something super mega casual, where I'm just trying to have fun, moving on into, so like I've definitely done a lot more entries into my FNM for local game store number one, more than 13. It's just I only tally this up if I've actually spent $5, from my wallet as opposed to store credit. And same right here, like the local game store number 3, I've only gone to 1, and that was during the Ultimate Masters release weekend, where they had, they were doing a promotion where they had free entry into FNM, and I took advantage of that, so I didn't actually tally this up to 1 entry because I didn't spend any money. So yeah, that's just kind of a little thing that I don't really tally this up unless I actually spend money from my pocket. But yeah, this one has $5 store entry as well, and yeah, they actually do standard showdowns too, and that's kind of the main reason why I go to local game store number 3, even though it's like a 30-minute commute. They do free entry if you pay for the $5 FNM, you actually get free entry into standard showdown. Otherwise, it's $3. When they did the free release weekend, I didn't go to the Saturday standard showdown. I think there's some college football that I was watching. But the weekend after that, and then I think another weekend after that, on Saturday, I just spent my $3 from store credit, because for the first time when I went to local game store number 3 for FNM, I took my mono black control deck and I went 3-1, and I took $18 store credit. So I think I'm at $12 now at that store. Local game store number 2, I don't really go there anymore because, well, first of all, their FNMs are $10. So what that means is it's a much better payout if you place, and you're probably gonna get more booster packs. It's just if you don't place at all, it's not casual friendly. It kind of feels bad that you spent $10 and you didn't get anything, and also it's a much more spikier crowd. And another thing on top of that is that the people there are kind of, they're kind of cliquey. They're not like really, friendly or welcoming. I don't know. It's my own personal thing. Not saying like I'm getting discriminated against or anything. It's their own little thing. You could tell it's their own little local game store. I mean, it's their own little crew over there. They're just like a regular group of guys that all know each other, and they're definitely way more spikier. Initially the very first time I went there was for Standard Showdown. They actually do it for free, which I thought was kind of interesting. But so the first time I went there was for Standard Showdown, and then I was like, I want to support the game store. And then I went and I was like, oh my gosh, it's actually $10. They told me. And then, I did that for 2 times, and I was like, you know what, I don't think I'm going to do this anymore. The $10 entry, the people there, I decided to ditch the local game store number 2. But with that being said, if you're a brand new player, I hope you can shop around for a nice little home. I consider local game store number 1 my main home, but, I will start commuting. I'm actually probably going to add local game store number 4 because I actually found another place that does standard showdowns that's a little bit closer than this place, but I'll probably use up all my store credit first. I have about $12 left, I think, after this. Yeah. So anyways, moving on beyond the FNM entries, I bought a deck builder's toolkit. This was a lot of fun. Actually bought another one for my friend. He was getting married, just kind of like an add-on. They really enjoyed it. Got Liliana, Vivian, the Planeswalker decks, because I wanted to follow suit with the green-black theme. Just kind of enjoyed that kind of color scheme, the Golgari. Kind of built more kitchen table decks. Bought some Eclipse sleeves, some TCG player upgrades over here. And this right here, even though, again, the upgrades for that meta wasn't going to last very long, it's still something that I could have for the cube or for casual decks. I bought a playmat off of eBay. You can actually find some cheap playmats off of eBay if they're like, for example, the SCG Regional Championship one that I got, I guess just wasn't popular, or maybe they had a bunch of extras, so they just sold them off on eBay. So I picked one of those up. I got a free set of teal sleeves because that was actually when I went to local game store number 2 for an FNM. This kid, he didn't like the way they shuffled, so he had a bunch of extra sleeves, and he was like, "Hey, do you want these?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" And even though they were teal, I actually use them for my mono black deck because I like the way the black looks off of the teal. I think it's kind of a cool color scheme. But anyways, moving on. Got some more upgrades. So the pre-release for Guilds of Ravnica, Magic League was really fun. If you don't know what Magic League is, it's kind of a casual format where you open up 3 booster packs, and you build a 30-card deck, and they provide the lands and everything. And over time, every week, you can get 1 additional booster pack. You can purchase it and add it to your deck, or every 3 losses, you can buy an additional booster pack. So week 2 I bought 2 booster packs, and this one, week 3, I used my FNM boosters, and just some more TCG player upgrades, more Planeswalker decks, just because that's something that I like to collect. It's very casual friendly. It's a lot of fun collecting those and building decks out of those. Like, Vraska, I was definitely going to buy Vraska because it was green-black. Really just enjoy the Golgari kind of theme. But with Raw, I had, no inclination to go for Izzet colors, but I just wanted to buy both of the Planeswalker decks because, I just kind of want to collect those. And also, it's kind of fun because it kind of forces me to build into new colors that I haven't really done before. So, moving on into Allegiance, they have the, what is it? Is it Domri for I think Gruul colors, and then there's Dovin for Azorius colors. So it's gonna be fun, just kind of building casual kitchen table decks, trying to make those on a budget, trying to make those viable for FNM. Just try and go 2 and 2, just a little Planeswalker deck challenge that I like to do, because after I'm done with those challenges, after going 2 and 2, I can have that as a badge of honor for. When I'm playing on the kitchen table, I can be like, hey, you know what? It went 2 and 2 at an FNM, so it's it's a competent level deck. It's not like it's a chump Planeswalker deck. It's gone through the grinder at an FNM. It's that's just something that I kind of like to do. It's a little personal thing. It's not like something to really it's not something that I'm trying to make viral or anything. It's just something that I like to do on my own. These eBay bulk sleeves, just for my cube. Or, for my other decks, I just like to sleeve them out with bulk sleeves, because buying 80 sleeves for $8, it's not very budget friendly. Even though the sleeves are way better, it's just buying them in bulk. I've done a video on that, and you can tell that they're cheaper, more cheaply made. But at the same time, like, no one's really gonna care. My friends aren't gonna care for when we're playing with the cube. It's like it doesn't really matter. They don't really care. So. Yeah, that's that. So right here, this all my expenditures is $580 that I've spent in 2018 as far as, extra, at leisure, expenditures that I've used for Magic. It's also kind of like my beer fund as well, but this is how much I've spent on Magic. And I've actually alleviated some of that by selling a bunch of my cards, and also added on some store credit to this, because, that's kind of like, I guess, balancing out the FNM entries. So I don't know if it's right to do this, but I added on my LGS credit that I've won into this section. And the main difference is $330. So, and this is postage right here for shipping. I use eBay, and I'll go into the postage section here in just a second. But yeah, so this right here, yeah, it's how much I've spent. That's the net difference. So I've spent almost 600, sold almost 300, and the net difference is about 330. And out of all of the decks that I've gotten, which I'll show you all the way down here. I mean, I'll go through that in just a second. This is everything that I've gotten to show for the kitchen table. I upgraded my Explorers of Ixalan's battle chest. Doing the Singleton Brawl decks. I'll show you guys that. I'll make a video on that because that was my very first video of unboxing Explorers of Ixalan. Those were my very, very first Magic the Gathering cards, which, it's kind of funny looking back on it, but I'll make an updated video on this after that content is done because I kind of want to go all out and really, not only show you the Singleton Brawl decks, but also show you the instructions I'm going to make for beginner players because it didn't come with how to play Magic, or anything like that, or how Planeswalkers work. I'm going to do that on my own and make it in GIMP or some kind of, or maybe like Google Documents or something. And then after that, I'll print it out at FedEx Kinko's, get that laminated so I can have it for the board game or for the, for the box. So anytime I need to explain something, they can look at a booklet or something as opposed to, me just talking about it. It's easier to see visually how it works. And then, yeah, right here, just, my cube. I'm actually going to change up my cube. I think I'm going to make it into I guess a lazy cube. I don't know how you would call it. I'm just going to throw cards in there. I'm not going to really focus on, there's a lot of people when you're talking about cube design. Cube design, it's kind of like its own little thing. It's a lot of fun, but at the same time, it is kind of like, in my opinion, I think with cube design, it's like, there's you can go crazy with it. It can make it really, really crazy just thinking about how to balance it and everything. So I think I'm just going to make it into a lazy cube where I just throw cards in there after every new set comes out, and I go through the pre-release and everything, and I get all of my cards. I'll just throw in a bunch of cards that I think would be fun for the cube and not worry about the design. I just make it into a lazy cube, or actually maybe I just make a separate cube that's a lazy cube. I don't really know, but yeah, right now it's a 400 card cube, and it's very. I designed it to be casual friendly, beginner friendly, so it's not like too complex of mechanics. And yeah, I already made a video on like the latest time I updated it. It was like at 96%. I just it needed some more dual color lands. That's pretty much all it needed, like some more guild gates. But anyways, moving on from that, that's my first cube. It's still a lot of fun to play with. Playing sealed with my friends one-on-one. Just playing one-on-one, make a sealed competition against each other, or doing like a 4-person cube. I've never done it with an 8-person cube yet, but doing a 4-person, 5-person cube. That's mainly the size of my play group at the moment. My board game play group. And yeah, so moving on. Some of these, they're not really FNM competent decks. They're probably more kitchen table level decks. But I just decided to throw it into the FNM budget deck tier because yeah, I did take him to an FNM, even though I did take my, the Planeswalker deck challenge with the kitchen table. I did take those into FNM, but now these have been relegated. Well, I still haven't completed the challenge yet for either of these two. So, but they're mainly kitchen table level decks. But like the FNM, like the Is It Wizards could be considered a kitchen table level deck because I don't have a good land base. Bird Fog, I got to show you guys that deck. I'll do a deck. Tech, I guess, tomorrow for Friday, because I just recently built it. I haven't played it yet. I actually missed last week's FNM because I had a little dinner date, so I'm gonna actually test this out for this week's FNM. I think week 14. I think week 14. But anyways, yeah. So this is everything that I got to show for it as far as all of my $330 or whatever. As far as all my different decks that I have for the kitchen table. Again, I kind of went crazy because I'm having fun deck building these, but also I want to have a nice array, a collection for the kitchen table. So moving forward, 5 years from now, I can have a bunch of different decks. And yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on the trend. I kind of went crazy with 2018 just because I didn't have any decks besides the challenger deck. So now I have a nice little array of different decks, and I'll probably continue on the trend a little bit, but I'm going to start saving up for a gaming PC. So just giving you guys a heads up, I'm probably not going to go as crazy as I did. But yeah, so going on into my sales. Yeah, so some of these you can actually tell that if you were to look at the current prices, this is after fees, by the way, and some of these this actually truncated some of the like cents off of it, and yeah, I didn't know how to fix it, so it's not 100% accurate. It's probably like 1 to maybe 2%, 3% difference of what I sold it for. I was using a basic multiplier of 0.85 after fees, but then I looked at another YouTube video about eBay fees, and I think it's actually 0.875. But then again, I should have looked at my PayPal and actually looked at how much money I netted, but I didn't do that. I just was straight up just I wanted something simple and easy. But yeah, some of these actually just the main point is this isn't 100% accurate, but just do realize that anytime you sell on something like TCG Player or eBay, they're always going to get their share of the cut as well, and also you got to consider shipping cost. So in my case, anytime I'm selling a card, I always do non-machinable. So initially for first class mail, if you were to send a card with a top loader inside a white envelope, that's usually about 48 cents, I think, for first class mail. But then if you want it non-machined, so if you don't know, all of those envelopes are machined. They go through these crazy machines where they're getting processed. If you don't want that to happen to your envelope, then you have to pay an additional surcharge of 21 cents, I believe. I use stamps.com, by the way, which I also didn't account for the stamps.com subscription, but I was also using stamps.com to sell a bunch of Pokemon cards and Yu-Gi-Oh cards as well. That's just something to know. That's why I'm still subscribed to there. But it is stamps.com is I think $10 a month or $11 a month or something like that. But yeah, that's just something to know that I didn't take into account the stamps.com subscription, which does add up, especially if you're doing it over time. But yeah, so non-machinable mail, it's something that me personally, I don't mind paying that extra charge, because I don't want the envelopes to be machined, because if you don't know, sometimes they can get bent, and I don't want my customers to ever get their cards bent. And yeah, so I just pay the additional charge to have non-machinable mail, so that's why it's 68 cents for postage. And in some of these cases, in order to get tracking, because doing that non-machinable first-class mail isn't tracked, you don't get a tracking number, so sometimes you got to upgrade and just pay the extra $2 for a tracking number for first-class package. And in these cases, I actually will package up the card a lot better, because they're a little bit more high value. For example, the Walking Ballista, the Carnage Tyrant over here. I'll actually pay the additional money for the first class tracking, because sometimes you'll have a buyer who has very little feedback, less than 10. Maybe they are a fresh new account, so you just want to make sure that you get the tracking number so you can actually show that it actually was delivered, because just in case they try to scam you out, you're actually a little bit more protected with the tracking number. But a lot of these, a lot of them, if they're sub $15, I will not do the tracking. I'll just do the non-machinable mail. And actually, I'll show you where I've gotten the cards from Explorers of Ixalan. I sold a bunch of the value from Explorers of Ixalan, even though a lot of these cards would have been great in the cube. I decided to sell them because I just kind of wanted to do this all as an experiment to kind of show you, and also just for myself, just to alleviate some of the pressure, some of the cost of actually playing paper Magic. So again, do I have some regrets? I do have some regrets. Probably maybe the Goblin Chain Whirler. I could have that one Goblin Chain Whirler bought a full play set later on to make a better mono red deck, but I'm not really a mono red player. The Assassin Trophy I don't mind selling. The Carnage Tyrant, I kind of do regret this one. I should have known that this was going to be a beast, and as far as the meta, I think I sold this. Again, I should probably wrote the dates, but this was, it spiked up after I sold it. So it went up to like $30 or $33 or whatever. I sold at like 22, I think. So again, I'm not an MTG finance guy. I'm not an expert at MTG finance, so I don't know when a card is going to spike or whatever. And I'm not really a speculator. I'm just a casual player, so I don't really, I don't. I don't feel bad about selling this for not at the peak. It's not like I sold like an Arc like Phoenix for like $2 or whatever. Like when they were first coming out, when people were buying Arc like Phoenixes for like $2 because no one thought it was good. Now it's like a $30 card. It's not like that much of a difference. So I still got a decent chunk of money. That was from my first ever my only standard showdown pack, as a matter of fact. But there's some people who are going to say, oh, well, you should have kept a lot of these cards, the Assassin's Trophies, the Carnage Tyrant, to make a better Golgari deck. But at the same time, I don't really mind selling these because this right here, that's a good chunk of a, budget brew right here. $20 is, for me as a budget builder, building cheap kitchen table decks, this is a good chunk right here. So I don't really mind trading one card for a bunch of cheaper cards, if you will. Just so but the main regrets that I have are let's see here, the Clifftop Retreat and the Sacred Foundry, because I think I just left these on my eBay store and then they sold, and I was still kind of topsy. I wasn't like sure. I wasn't 100% sure if I wanted my Boros, Firesong, and Sunspeaker deck to be my main, kind of like my main multicolored deck, where I actually pour in some money, like the Cleansing Novas, the Deafening Clarions, the land base. I wasn't sure if I was going to do that, and I kind of just left them up there and they sold, and I was like, whatever. But that's something I'm going to have to buy again. So I do have a little bit of regrets as far as selling these. There's some other things like the Walking Ballistas. That's a great modern card, and I don't think I'm ever going to play modern. Unfortunately, it's too expensive of a format. And I actually really enjoy standard because it's like a fresh meta, whereas in modern, I've never played it. I just have watched it, but I just think the high price point is something that I'm just never really going to buy into. So I was comfortable selling the Walking Ballista and the Fatal Push from my Challenger deck, making a little bit of my money back from the Challenger deck. A lot of these you can actually see, like the Aggressive Mammoth, Assassin's Trophy, for instance. I sold 2 of them. Sometimes the price will go down. Assassin's Trophy, for instance, initially I think I sold it for like $20. I think there was some change as well. I don't know why it truncated off the cents. I think it was like a Google Docs kind of thing, and I just was like, screw it, I'm not gonna worry about it. So again, this is 100% accurate, but I sold my Resplendent Angel, which I got from my rewards from going 3-1 with my Challenger deck from my first FNM. The Overgrown Tomb, so I sold some dual lands. Right over here I got the Mara Soul of Court. I went to the store championship, and as a door prize they gave out a full playset, and I got one. I kept one for the cube, and I sold the other 3 online. I added on my store credits just to kind of, because I do use, as far as expenditures, I do keep track of the FNM expenses for entry. So this right here was the first time I used store, like I took my boosters and put them into store credit, where I netted, this one I don't think, so I kept track, I used store credit for this one, but I didn't use store credit for this. This I actually spent $5 for the entry up here for FNM, and then I took the 4 boosters and I just turned them into store credit, because before I actually didn't know you could do that. And this right here, when I went 3-1, I just transformed it into store credit. The Magic League reward, with Magic League, I think the payouts they did was most wins, most games played, and then win percentage. And I think I got most wins because I went every week. So I got most wins off of that. It was a $13 entry for doing, where is it, Magic League. So I got my money back on that. Well, I actually spent a little bit more for the booster packs. But, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed Magic League. Got, I think, a couple of Necrotic Wound promos. So one for the cube. And I think I put one in the sideboard for my Vraska deck. But anyways, so this one right here, I noted that I did use store credit, so I netted 5 for store credit, if that makes sense. I I think I did the math right on that, and that was when it's my mono white historic, and then this one was for local game store number 3. When I went to their Ultimate Masters weekend, they did free entry, and I actually ended up getting you could have gotten 6 booster packs, but instead I just took it into store credit. So I got $18 store credit for that game store, and I used $6 of it because I didn't go for the Saturday after that Ultimate Masters weekend because I was watching college football, I think, and then the Saturday after that one, that's when I went to the first Standard Showdown, and then I went to another second Standard Showdown. So, yeah, and then I sold my Sinister Sabotages. That's right. Sinister Sabotage. I'm not really a control player, and I just wanted. I think the Conclave Tribunal. I just wanted one of them for the cube, and as far as the other FNM promos for Guilds Ravnica, I wasn't really too into. So I didn't mind selling these for promos, the foil promos. But yeah, that's kind of all of my sales right there, and this is all of my casual decks or FNM budget level decks. So if you're a brand new player, what you could have done is, instead of dealing with all of this and the postage, it's actually kind of weird that this ended up being a $29 exactly. But instead of doing all this, you can have what's called a trade binder, and just kind of have a binder with the sleeves and everything, and you can trade with other people. But in my case, I just like to take the raw cash. And even though you do take some, everyone's getting their cut with eBay, and you also got to pay for postage, I actually don't mind doing that because, I just wanted to see what it was like to see all of these expenditures in place, and I'm actually really, spending $330 for all these, for all of this right here. I actually don't mind. It's a lot better than 500. Or 500, or almost 600. So, I don't regret. The only things that I do regret selling, I think, are the Sacred Foundry and the Clifftop Retreat. Everything else, I'm okay with. Even though I didn't sell Carnage Tyrant when it was spiking up to $30. I sold, I think, at like 22 or 23, or maybe, I don't know. I think it was like 22. So yeah. But again, I think Alenda is spiking up because Orzhov is going to be a thing now with the Legions of Allegiance. So, there's still some things like, Path to Exile is a good modern card. I'm just not going to get into modern, though, Walking Ballista. So, there's nothing really too regretful. I could just simply buy the Clifftop Retreats as well as Sacred Foundries if I want to start playing my Boros, Firesong, and Sunspeaker deck again as my main deck. But I'm actually kind of, I do kind of want to do that, but at the same time, I'm okay with my mono black control as my, if I do want to win, then I bring my mono black control. But otherwise, I got to get the Cleansing Novas, the Deafening Clarions, improve the mana base for Firesong and Sunspeakers. So, that's the video right here. I hope I didn't kind of go off a tangent right there, but that's kind of the insight of what it's like to be a first year player of Magic the Gathering for paper. So. I know this video is going to be kind of long. Hope you guys didn't mind me rambling, but I hope hope it gave you guys an insight into what kind of player I am, as well as if you are a brand new player, you can kind of take a glimpse at how expensive it can be. Really, all you really need to do is just focus on one deck. If you really wanted to, you just play MTG Arena, and then you just buy one deck that you're really into, like a mono blue tempo deck, for instance, and then you can just focus on that. For me, though, my buying strategy was all about, even though these decks aren't completely optimized, they're not tier 1, I can have them for the kitchen table, and then moving forward, 5 years on from now, I can battle against each other from different metas, so different standard metas, because I don't think I'm ever going to get into modern. It's just, modern's way too expensive for me, I think. That's just my opinion, though. I still watch some modern videos, but at the same time, maybe I buy a budget burn deck, but otherwise, it's just I don't really mind selling the cards that are good for modern, like Path to Exile or Walking Ballista. So, and a bunch of these, like the Quicksilver Amulet or Aggravated Soul, they're mainly, I think, Commander players really like these cards. So, like the Time Warp, for instance. So these could have been good for the cube, but at the same time, it's just getting a little bit of money back, help alleviating all of these expenditures. I'm really, for 2018, all my Magic expenses coming down to $330, and me getting all of this, you know, I'm actually kind of happy. I don't regret too many things. Again, just the two Boros lands, the Clifftop Retreat and the Sacred Foundry, I think is the only regrets. I should have known that Carnage Tyrant was going to spike up for the meta, and that's pretty much it. And Elenda, I think, is just recently spiking because of, you know, Orzhov, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know. I'll try and answer them. But yeah, I hope this video is kind of interesting. But anyways, I'm gonna create that bird fog video. I haven't made a video on that because last week I couldn't go to FNM. So tomorrow for FNM, I'm gonna play that and I'll make a video on it. Or actually, I might make a video after I play it, just so I can see if it's good or not. So yeah, maybe I'll make it over the weekend. I don't know. I'll figure that out later. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it, and take it easy.